Welcome to the Echo Essentials podcast. My name is Chris Pekarsky, and on today's episode, we have in from Paddle, Executive Director Megan Johnson. Megan comes from Paddle, which stands for, I'm going to get this right, Providing Adults with Developmental Disabilities Lifelong Experiences, which is super cool. They're a community agency and service that helps adults in our community find a place and get some great skills and find community. It's really, really awesome. We talked a bit about the letter to the editor the board at Paddle sent that Bay today picked up and published regarding the program being at risk because the province denied core funding. It's a really raw, really good conversation. It gets I want to say intense. That's not the right phrase. But it gets like really real, where Megan's very passionate and she truly cares for who she's representing and who she's working for. And this is clearly something that's very important to many, many people, not just the adults and the staff who are at Paddle every day. And so it's a great listen. We encourage you to give the full listen. There's a call to action. We also recommend, if you can, Ben, I'm going to make you put the letter in the description of the episode, probably on YouTube, so you can go ahead and read it for context. Go check it out. Go do all the required reading. But that's after the episode because we're going to get right into it. But before we get into all that, we're going to throw it to our title sponsor, Source for Sports.
It's almost that time of year. Early mornings at the rink, fresh notebooks and backpacks, and a community gearing up for another great season of varsity sports. At Source for Sports North Bay, we're proud to be part of it all. Whether it's finding your kid's first pair of skates, gearing up for tryouts, or outfitting your team for the season ahead, we've got you covered. Because here, we're not just a sports store, we're neighbors, coaches, teammates, and fans. And we're proud to cheer you on every shift, step, and stride of the way. Visit Source for Sports North Bay at 1321 Fisher Street and let us help you along your way.
On today's episode, I have with me from Paddle, which we'll get to acronym in a minute, the Executive Director, Megan Johnson. Megan, how are you today?
I'm doing really good today. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. You were actually detailing your position, your unofficial title to me, and I didn't want to get it wrong. Can you also state to our audience, even though you're Executive Director, what maybe your real title is?
Oh, they call me the Director of Awesomeness.
Great title.
Yes.
I kind of want that title, but you clearly have it, so.
Yeah, I earned it.
Fair enough. So, okay, let's get into a bit about why we're here today. So, you represent and work for Paddle, right? Which I have wrote it down. I'll make sure I get the acronym correct. It is Providing Adults with Developmental Disabilities Lifelong Experiences.
You got it.
Perfect. And so it is a parent-driven initiative to help adults with developmental, disabilities. Have opportunities for community, education, and support. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Okay, so can you kind of maybe detail, a little more detail, the vision and direction of Paddle and why we're here today?
For sure. Right now, we've been in motion since 2007. Supporting a number of individuals in North Bay. Primarily, we started to support individuals who were living at home with their families, who had aged out of school at 21, and the opportunities just were not there. I think something that's really important about Paddle and that people should know is that we are a program that is geared toward people with complex needs. So they have developmental disabilities, but oftentimes a mental health designation and a physical disability as well. For the most part, they will not be on the path to employment, but they require lifelong learning and wellness in order to maintain the skills that they do have.
Right.
And so that's where we come in.
Right. So where's Paddle located? It's in the city, right?
Yes. We're currently at 235 Albert Avenue our landlord is Greenwood Baptist Church. And they are wonderful to us. Yes, we previously were in Chippewa Secondary School. The Near North Board has been an exemplary partner to us for a very long time, but we grew out of that space.
Right, fair enough. So when did you move out of that space into the church space?
We now occupy, so the church bought an old school. So we now occupy a whole section there. So 6 classrooms
That's awesome.
And one office. They're not really set up like classrooms. It's more of a college atmosphere, but
cool.
It is what it is, right? Lots of space, which
Fair enough.
is really good.
Okay. And so when did you say you moved out again?
We moved there just before the pandemic.
Oh, okay.
I want to say yes.
So 6-ish years?
Yes,
Which
maybe
saying
a little
that
more.
makes you feel 100,000 years
Yes,
old.
it could have been even a little more than that, not sure. But it's been a great move for us.
Approximately. Okay, so I ask all these questions because as a lifelong North Bayite, I in the last, I would say, year and a half, have become more familiar with paddle and what you guys do.
Oh, that's awesome.
Which is almost a shame because I wish I would have known more because it's such an awesome initiative. And so I asked all these, qualifying, informational based questions because I don't know if the community truly at large kind of knows what's going on, knows what you do. Because right now, aside from, we'll get to your summer fundraiser, which is really cool.
Fair.
Let's talk a bit about kind of why you're here in terms of the funding and the crisis that we're in at large. Can you maybe detail what that is?
Yes. There is an all-around sector crisis in developmental services, whether it is residential, it is respite, it is long-term care supports, it is short stay supports, anything, supported living. It's not available right now in our community. So with that being said, what does that tell us about people with complex needs? What is going to happen to them when their parents are no longer able to care for them?
Right.
Where will they go?
Yeah.
And the answer is an Ontario hospital.
Right.
And we are so far from that.
Yeah.
So far from the days of institutionalization. We just need to go back and look at Huronia Regional Center and look at their initiative called Remember Every Name.
Sorry, what's that about?
The Huronia Regional Institute, that was the last institute in Ontario to close down.
Okay.
That was there primarily to warehouse individuals with developmental disabilities.
Okay.
So previously, way back, let's say, if you had a child who had a developmental disability or if they had become an adult and you were no longer able to support them in the family home, you had to give them up to the province.
Right.
And they were sent to an institution. Even 40 years ago, when people were having these children, they were being told, you should institutionalize them. We've come such a far away from there. You know what I mean?
I mean, thank goodness that we have. It feels very
100%.
cold, that kind of approach.
It's very, very cold.
Yeah.
It is not humanizing, and to call it care would be a lie.
I'd say dishonest.
Abhorrent, sure. The things that happen there are unspeakable.
Yeah.
And those are the things that happen when we start to institutionalize people.
Right.
And that's happening again.
Right.
And we need to do our job as our community to say, we don't accept that.
Right. And I would imagine, while you can get a drink here.
Sorry.
No, go ahead. I would imagine it's not in this. I mean, I can't speak to the Huronia specific thing, but I mean, I don't think it benefits anyone if these adults get displaced, for lack of a better phrase, to our hospital, which does awesome work. It doesn't serve them because they're already short-staffed. It doesn't serve the adults because that's not the place they need to be. It doesn't serve the system. It's a loss for everyone counting.
You got it.
Right.
So our failure to invest in these individuals is hurting everyone else as well. Right? So their caregivers, they are not safe at home.
Right.
I never want to have to hear again from an 80-year-old caregiver that says, if we don't show up next week, can you call and make sure we're not dead? Oof. Because the only two people in the house, one is 80 and one has a developmental disability and cannot care for themselves.
Right.
That is what we are putting people in those types of situations. We're asking these caregivers to do impossible things in extraordinary circumstances, and we are asking these adults to do the impossible with dignity, and that's not okay.
And would you say in the last couple of years, or the last however many years, you're welcome to detail,
sure,
that this crisis has become ever more present? Has there been an issue with provincial funding or additional funding that has made this feel tighter?
I think that starving a sector will do that. We've been watching this crisis unfold. We watch people walk into crisis. I've been with that caregiver in the emergency room when they've had to walk away from the adult child in order to get them the supports and services that they need, knowing very well that that adult may never get out. Because once you have a roof over your head and food in your mouth, you may not be a priority for housing, right? Because 52,000 Ontarians are on the list with Developmental Service Ontario to get housing or community supports.
Yeah.
So that tells you something right there.
That's just the wait list, you said.
Yes.
Okay, wow.
Currently,
Sorry, I just got dumbstruck by that.
well, it is what it is,
Yeah.
right? Like, to be quite frank,
Yeah, please.
Developmental Service Ontario and that the government currently is assessing people for services that do not exist. So that is telling people that they do exist, and it's setting people up for crisis.
Fair point. Fair. I think it's tough position, like yourself or, the team that you have at Paddle to be in is because you want to do so much with what you have, but you also want to advocate for those that you need that you don't have or things that you don't have. And so it's a tricky position to be in because, you're left wanting to, be absolute advocate, but you only have so many hands, you only have so many dollars.
Exactly.
Right. And so I'd imagine it's tough because you don't ever want to potentially, ruffle the feathers of those who might shed you an egg, right? You want to be careful how you do that. And so
that's tricky in the city, right?
Yeah, for sure.
It's very tricky as a charitable organization in the city to be very careful about who you disappoint and who you don't.
Fair. Is there any kind of support that you've gotten from the city side of things, or is this
like the municipality?
Yeah.
No.
Or is this solely? Okay. No, I don't know if that's a no from a it doesn't work this way or a no as in a firm no.
I think in other communities there are other communities who, for example, will offer space to groups like ours in their city-owned or municipally owned buildings and things like that. We don't have that, and that's okay. We're okay. The citizens of North Bay, however, have been floating this program for 18 years. I cannot believe the amount of generosity, the generosity of spirit, too, of people who are giving in ways that they don't even understand. We do have donors that are giving money, and it's amazing. We have the construction community, the automotive community, the people you think would not be the ones supporting us. We had a gang of bikers once send us a bunch of money. It's such a wonderful thing. And then this week at Paddle, we're all thinking about this stuff, right? And the people that we forget to thank that don't know that they're doing stuff for us, but they are. And those are the people that are cashiers at Winners. Those are the HomeSense staff. Those are the restaurant owners and their servers. Those are the people at Tim Hortons. We're out all the time, and you cannot miss us. We are a joyful, loud group that will invade your vestibule. People won't be able to get in or out, and it'll be great. No, I have to say, these people, like, to be able to walk into a place and be a regular is kind of cool, right?
Pretty cool.
To be able to walk into a place
That's
and
community.
you don't speak traditionally, or you use a picture to speak, and to have someone already know that you're going to be doing that, or already know your order, or be excited to see how you communicate. This is North Bay. It's insanity. I love it. You couldn't get anything any better.
You can't put a price on dignity.
No, you can't.
Right.
Like, when people walk into a place, one of the families said, I don't know what you're doing, but every time we call him Hollywood now. I said, who? They're like, this person, our son, we call him Hollywood. And I thought, why? Well, he's everywhere. Every time we go everywhere, everybody knows who he is.
Sign autographs, wave into the fans.
Yeah. And that's safety. That's what we call social capital. And if you don't have financial capital, because that's what gives you power, you need to develop that social capital, and you need to do it quickly.
Right.
And
I'm glad to know that, in the limited capacity that is funding, at least you're getting support from the community in terms of that social capital. Because you want to feel, the students, the adults, the teachers, the staff, everyone wants to feel like they're not some like a lot of communities and a lot of services. They don't want to feel like they're some sort of like outlier or disconnected. They want to feel like integrated in the community.
Right.
And I think that's great that you've had so much positive reception because why shouldn't you? Of course you are. You're people here, right? And so it's tough to know that on the opposite side of the scale, is imbalance. Not to say these things are two necessarily equals, but
Right.
So maybe you can feel free to detail as much as you can.
Sure.
I'm going to pivot here.
Sure.
And detail, maybe for those who don't understand, what's the organizational structure of Paddle, and what's the funding model look like, and what are you looking at achieving at an annual basis,
Right.
and what's in the interim?
Okay. That's a big question.
I
So
know.
the organizational structure of Paddle is different, and
Okay.
it is intentional.
Okay.
Part of the problem in this sector in terms of people going into crisis is that, again, when the caregiver is no longer there, they lose the caregiver, they lose their home. If they have been going to a program, let's say like Paddle, but in another community where they cost $100 to $180 a day, if those are being funded by that person who has passed, you're losing your program as well. Many programs that are funded through government supports also don't allow you to bring your own personal support worker with you. I know. And that's a long, I know. And we know that having a support worker attached to a building and not to a person makes zero sense.
No sense.
And that when you are a developmental service worker, if the person you work with is sick, for example, you stay home with them. You do not go to the building where they are not there, right? So it's about continuity of care, and it's about preventing that crisis, right? What if you take everything from them? What do you think will happen? Exactly.
Yeah.
So
nothing good. Yeah. So that kind of details the organizational side of things.
Right.
Getting to the corporate.
and that.
Sorry.
The part of the story and the
Yeah,
organizational part is Paddle has a board of directors.
Yeah.
We have executive director and
Right.
we have a program manager.
Right.
We have one other employee that we pay. She's a community connector.
Okay.
So we have 3 employees only. And we have a partnership with the Near North Board that they administer through a program for adult education through the province.
Okay.
So we have a full-time teacher and we have a new teacher on Wednesdays all day as well. So we have two teachers on Wednesdays. And that has been a significant resource for us, I would say, just because it's been difficult to get the funding and the support that we need from the ministry that is currently responsible for these individuals.
Right. So let me come at you fast here.
Sure.
Is the biggest cost like the building, the programming, like?
The biggest cost, we just would like, to be quite honest.
I know it's a really blunt question,
No,
maybe
that's
like
okay.
a naive question,
That's
but like,
okay.
let's talk about the root of it, right?
By the way, in Ontario, we're audited every year, and we do that on purpose. Like, we don't have to. We do a full audit every year that is publicly available. So that information is out there, what we need to run. Our ask from them was rent, turn on the lights, 3 staff.
Yeah.
It wasn't a lot. But I can tell you what it will do, right? Is when you're working with a charitable board, right now my board is 4 people.
Yeah.
That whole realm of things is changing too, right? Like people are aging, not many people are joining boards anymore.
Fair.
There's a lot of change there too, right? So here we are with this board of four people who are also family members or parents of people who have developmental disabilities.
Makes
so they
sense.
have their own things going on too, right? And they're not just fighting for them; they're fighting for everyone else's kids as well. So it's a tough thing. But here's the thing: if they knew that their operational expenses were paid, what we can leverage in terms of offering more service to our community is beyond. We have infrastructure. We have a building that's not even being used from 3 till 11 at night. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we have things that we can do. We have 41 people on our wait list.
Yeah.
And 38, I think, in the program right now. So that's, and again, these are not individuals that are on the path to employment. I have to be mindful of that because it's important that we recognize that there's people who do have complex needs that are not going to be able to do that at this time, right?
Yeah.
The experience that we just had was that you can get employment supports in 4 days because there's a number of agencies who will offer specialized supports to people with developmental disabilities. But if your caregiver dies,
what? Why?
Who's going to... Exactly.
Okay.
If you don't earn your keep, right? That's kind of what the message is. And that's the same message they get when they tell them they can't utilize their own workers or funds at a program, right? It's kind of like that you get what you get and you don't get upset.
Yeah.
And you can't complain because you didn't pay for it. Right? Our funding model is a little different, right? I know. Well,
that's sarcasm for Chris, but
fair. Like, is that the intention? Probably not. Is that how it's landing? Absolutely.
Yeah.
So our model then is charitable, obviously, donations, and they pay a small fee to attend, $21 a day.
Yeah.
So that's geared to income because that's part of that intentional independence piece.
Right.
Do not create programs that are dependent on other people paying for them.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to last, right? And it's going to create a crisis.
Right. Makes sense.
So geared to income, recognize them as the adult that they are.
Yeah.
With their own agency.
Yeah.
And the things that they're going to need, right?
No, that's a good point.
Exactly.
That's a really good point. I'm not even quite sure how to follow that because I think you laid out perfectly. When you said, they can have these systems in place, in a place of employment, but then the caregiver provider goes away, it feels like you're building, a house on a river. Like as soon as you remove the floor, what happens? Like
Exactly.
I feel like you lose everything that you kind of built up.
Exactly.
And that's like I'll say this because I'm not beholden to anyone at the provincial level. Like that feels kind of like a failure of the system because you're not giving anyone any kind of built up long-term sustainable success or continued growth in any capacity there. Because it's just saying like, okay, well, if your life changes, well, your life's really going to change.
Yep.
That stinks. I'll say it bluntly. But it's to bring it a little more circle here. Part of the reason why, because I'm not gonna lie, I've been tracking the story a little bit because I've been trying to read more about what's happening in our community.
I think it's important people understand.
Yeah.
And I will speak to that other piece that you talked about in terms of people not knowing about paddle. In the last few years, the pandemic has been a traumatic experience for the people that we support.
Fair.
And we're still coming out of that. Also, awareness is great, and we love to do that. But the problem with that is that people then believe that the service is available, that paddle is there for you when you need it. And it's not.
Right.
There are 41 people waiting, right? I get sick when I see families going to places where people are showing off services, but no one's telling them you won't get in.
Yeah.
It's a terrible thing to see people go through.
Right.
And it's a terrible thing to see these people being failed.
Right. And so it's, again, like, you tied this really well because what kind of brought this back to our fold here is that there's a really well-written letter to the editor that was written by members of the board from Paddle detailing the situation and the circumstances. It's titled, and I'll quote, Paddle Program at Risk as Province Denies Core Funding. This was obviously submitted to letter to the editor at Bay Today. And that's pretty clear of what's happening here.
Yes.
And I remember when I initially started, when Ben and I started talking about stories in the summertime, we talked about, a really great initiative that you guys did for fundraising called Up the Creek
Without a Paddle.
I was going to say Up the Creek Without a Paddle. It sounds like a very certain phrase, but it's a really good one. And you guys had a great turnout for that. But I mean, obviously, it's a bigger picture. But is there anything else that you can do within the confines of, the system and provincial structures that are, funding you, so to speak, that you can do? Because that was a great event, but it's still just one event, right?
Exactly. It's still just one event.
Well, essentially, I mean, it's a social service. It should be supported like that.
Exactly.
In a proper way.
And these are amazing families and amazing people doing these donations. I have to say that. They again, everyone says, well, if you can do it, you do it. Guess what? They don't. Not everybody who has something is giving it to someone else.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way.
But it's also like, oddly enough, like, let's say this is such a bad faith kind of comparison, but allow me just to make it. Let's say all of these support services or charities required only charitable contributions. They would all be toast because there's so many different other things happening in our own city and the surrounding area that in times of, what is perceived to be pretty difficult financial struggles for a lot of people, working class people, it's become harder for them to make their own ends meet. And so it's hard, and I can't blame them necessarily for not being able to provide money or time when they don't have it for themselves, because you have to support yourself.
Who is not, sorry.
I'm talking about people, the general public.
Oh, no. I don't think that they should be donating if they don't have what they need.
That's what I'm saying, is that I can't blame them.
No, okay, good.
For making up, and this is what I'm trying to get at.
Okay.
For making up the difference that the province fails to make, right? Because ultimately it should come at, the province who we pay taxes for, who we elect. Do a pause there, to do right by us instead of us picking up the slack. Because again, you mentioned it perfectly, that the community can do wonderful things and they don't have to do this, and that's great. But that shouldn't be the pure primary funding model. It shouldn't be.
It shouldn't.
Right?
These are adult human beings.
Yeah.
Adult human beings who deserve a life in their community that is safe and that is meaningful and is not in a hospital.
Ultimately, even functionally, it's not where they should be.
No.
Right?
And it has nothing to do with our hospital or the people who work there.
Not.
It's that it's not set up to provide that kind of support and care. It's just not.
Exactly.
And people should be concerned about that. And they should be concerned about their tax dollars in that regard, because it's expensive to have someone live in hospital.
Yes.
Very expensive.
It's very expensive, yes.
$700, $1,200 a day was a low estimate I saw through the Financial Accountability Office and through an audit they did on developmental services, adult developmental services. It is, do you know what they could do with that kind of money? What kind of life that they could live?
Yeah.
Also, as a taxpayer, I would say, why am I paying so much to harm people when I could pay much, much less to have them have meaningful, positive lives in the community?
Yeah, it's another example of putting a Band-Aid on a broken arm.
Exactly.
Right. We talked about this in a previous episode, maybe in last week's again. I refer back to those. But the way, and I will levy this criticism, our provincial government seems to fund things and then try to retroactively be a hero by putting a Band-Aid on something and saying, hey, look, we threw money at it. Well, that's fine, but it doesn't solve the problem. And in fact, it actually is almost kind of, I'll speak openly, a little disingenuous, because it feels like you did something when you realistically could have done it before. You could have funded it properly before trying to make this a bigger initiative. In terms of we put money to help put, I'll use the example, more funding into the healthcare when you should have funded it properly in the first place. Which gets me back to this. If we funded something like this properly in the first place, well, not only would you potentially help alleviate the crisis in the first place, obviously, but you wouldn't have to have all these Band-Aid fixes that cost much more money later, like $700, $1,200 a bed for a hospital that they don't belong in the first place.
Right, and you're not receiving care because it's not where you need to be.
Yeah.
I don't think we would allow that to happen to anyone else except for people who are not able to use their voice. Right?
Yeah. And that's a really good point, Megan. Do you think that maybe this is I'm checking my own biases here. Do you think maybe there's a lack of representation and advocacy for these adults because they have their own circumstances, and there's not a formalized opportunity for them to kind of voice for their own concerns? Is there a shortage of representation or an opportunity?
I think it's a shortage of opportunity.
Okay, I like that.
For sure, to represent themselves. That's something that we're working on and always working on at Paddle, is the concept of nothing about them without them, and that nobody should be making decisions about the lives of people with disabilities except for the people who are living with a disability.
I like that.
And so we're really focused on that, but you also have to sometimes guess what the best choice is when you don't know what's going on with someone, right? We've been lucky lately to have people join the program who have been able to articulate their experience.
Yeah.
And also be able to articulate the lack of experience that their peers are getting as well, and to be able to voice that to other people. I'm very proud of them for that. It's not easy to go out and talk about your own stuff.
No.
And we should not have to do that. It brings me back to when a few years ago we had a mother whose child needed a home, and she had to go to the paper. She had to have all these things, all your personal details put out there in order to get what you need. That's not fair.
Yeah.
That's sad. It's sick. The stuff that was written underneath the media.
Are you talking about the comments section?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, my favorite place. That's also sarcasm, by the way.
I got you. It was
Not a fan.
unbelievable, the things that you were reading. And I thought, oh my gosh, this poor mother has to read this,
Yeah.
We shouldn't have to go to the media and talk about our issues in order to get what we need. That's not how it should work. It should just be there like it is for us, right?
Yep. Retroactive quick fixes are not the answer. Right?
No, they're not.
No. And so getting back to your letter, well, not your letter, the board's letter.
Right, yeah.
May I clarify? I'm going to quote, the call to action in this is, we urge our government representatives to sustain what already works. Please lend your voice by contacting, and I'm going to drop the full email here.
Okay.
vic.fidelico@pc.ola.org, or the number. Our community has shown up for paddle. It's time for our government to do the same, which I really, really like. And obviously the call to action is to, levy and, try to get the attention and support in various ways of our local, or not our local government, our local MPP, but our provincial government at large. And so letters like this help create more of a conversation. And obviously this is not so much a, why should you consider putting or, having an opportunity to get into paddle when you have a 41-person wait list. It's about something more. And so what's next? What's more?
What's more?
Big question, right?
I don't know if we have more, to be honest with you. We're again in a we have submitted for the last 2 years what was an urgent appeal for operating dollars. And there is real fear that this service will not exist. I have, and I know our board has, and certainly the people in the program and their families are very scared about what will happen if this service disappears. That's an incredible amount of pressure.
Yeah.
But it's something that they need very badly. I do have to say that Vic Fideli, that MPP Fideli, has publicly stated his support for paddle on many occasions. He has brought money into the region for paddle. Now, once that money gets to the regional office, things can change. And that's a whole other story. Today, I know when people were emailing, they were receiving responses telling them that paddle had been recipients of the NOHFC fund, which we are, and of $1 trillion, which we are, and that MPP Fideli had brought in some dollars for paddle on 2 occasions, which is absolutely correct, 100%. But we need to be very clear. At the end of that email, it said, we're also need to follow policy.
Vague.
The policy itself, outdated. It does not reflect the outcomes. People actually need to stay safe, stable, and connected in their community. The current rules were built for a completely different system, and they're blocking supports that prevent crisis and institutionalization for adults who already live in very vulnerable conditions. Our model is built on intentional independence. We've talked about this. Affordability.
Yeah.
Afford it on your own.
Yep.
You have a support worker that belongs to you, that you hired because you're an adult. Can you imagine having to spend 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with people you don't like or did not choose to be around?
No.
Exactly. That right to your own agency and to the people to be around you and in your space.
It's demeaning.
100%.
In principle, yeah.
100%.
Yeah, 100%.
Yes. So it's important to us that we do that. Now, I know my board was just looking at something too I want to look at. Sorry.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and pull that up, Megan? I'm just going to, again, re-bring it to the attention of our listeners or our viewers. If you get a chance, obviously you can go check out Paddle's website, which is super, super informative in terms of your vision, your goal, your offerings. But please go check out this letter. It's a great letter. Yes. It really details kind of like the raw core of what we're talking about here today.
Exactly.
And, kind of like that big what's next. It's about, again, communicating and, for lack of a better phrase, again, I use that phrase again, putting a little bit of pressure on the provincial government to say like, hey, look, we have, needs here and this is a crisis at large, and there should be more than just what is an outdated model.
Absolutely. And the government knows it's an outdated model. There is a framework for reform called Journey to Belonging. It's an 8 to 10 year framework for reform to belong in your own province. I have an issue with that.
Yeah, I got a few issues with that.
Yeah. And the people I support and their caregivers don't have 8 to 10 years. This is not an 8 to 10 year plan. We're doing something right now that is innovative. Within the framework, within this document that they've put out, it details exactly what we need. And you couldn't have put Paddle on paper any differently than Journey to Belonging. So to dismantle services because you're not ready yet is not, I don't think, an acceptable way to support the vulnerable.
Right.
It doesn't make a lot of sense.
No. And again, like maybe there's, again, a little bit of, unawareness, naivety to my understanding. But like I'll ask a question.
Sure. No, please.
Is Paddle's model comparable across the province to other different offerings? Or is this, what do they call it? Pathway to, what was it called? The provincial thing?
Oh, Journey to Belonging.
Is it the Journey to Belonging concept completely out of touch with what, agencies like yourself and the offerings and services are doing at the ground level? Like, is there any kind of connection there? Is there any kind of relatability?
I would say that on paper, this Journey to Belonging, other than the timeline, looks wonderful.
Okay.
The concepts in it are wonderful. They come from people with lived experience and with their families.
Okay.
Here's the thing, though. If we're not willing to look at innovative models, innovative way of doing things, particularly, I think, in the North, we're on a journey to belonging. We're on a journey to nowhere.
Yeah.
Okay? Because it's not working. When a policy prevents something like that, like a literal words on pages that can be changed because they were created, prevents people from receiving the support and care that they need is...
You can bite your tongue.
Exactly.
You can bite your tongue.
I just,
So I'll ask you another quick question while you're composing the next bit here. Why exactly is 8 to 10 year plan? Or is that a shrug kind of situation?
I don't think that it is a...
Is it longer?
Say it again?
Is it a longer than an 8 to 10 year plan?
Have they met any of the dates that they have set for anything related to accessibility, the AODA Act? No. So I have very little faith that we're going to get this done in 8 to 10 years.
So you don't have to answer this question. Is it DOA as a concept? Like,
if they don't change the way, if they're unwilling to look at models like ours that work for people,
right,
where services actually exist, number one, and they actually work for people, they're going to have to change the way they do things. Right. And then that model, what they say they want to do, they are going to change. And I have to believe it's going to happen. I just wish that they could look now and see that saving this is worth it. Because in the end, other communities could do the same, right? We've had people move here because of our program.
That's awesome.
It is amazing. But
however,
because you're paying $180 a day in another community and you're almost homeless, you shouldn't have to wait on a wait list to come to North Bay to be at Paddle. This is something that is scalable.
Yeah.
You could do it in a lot of places. There are a lot of generous people around Ontario, and there are a lot of brilliant minds around Ontario too, and in our government, who could look at this and say, there's a clear problem and there is a solution and there is money because we're wasting it warehousing them in hospitals and long-term care facilities.
It doesn't make any sense.
Zero.
It doesn't make any sense.
And you know what?
It's the same with like long-term care.
Exactly.
It doesn't make any friggin' sense.
I have to give Vic props with that, though. Our proposal several years ago now, the things that he did pick out of there were that waste of money. He very much saw that as something that needed to be fixed. And
Sorry, you're referring to what exactly?
The amount of money that's being spent on repeat hospitalizations, police involvement, long-term care is an insane amount of money to be spending when also just to harm people. It's he was very stunned by those numbers. So I believe that when the tools are there, hopefully we'll see some change, but I don't know when those tools come into play.
Right.
Right.
So getting back to that big ask, there's a lot of questions and timelines to be aware of and models that we have to try to, comprehend and hopefully be applicable to outside of North Bay, but hopefully at least for our own. What's extra paddle? Like what can we, I say we at Echo, I mean, I'm just a guy behind a microphone, but like, what can we help facilitate to make sure that, you get support that you need and how the community can do? Like what can the people do?
The people here have done so much.
Right.
The people here have carried this program. I can't speak enough to our community, to every service group, to every school, every store, every foundation, United Way. Like, it doesn't matter who you are. We've got an incredible amount of support. I don't know that they should be funding services like this in their entirety, right? I don't know that that's fair. What I do know is that the response that they received when they have written letters to the MPP that were received today talked about Trillium, for example. Trillium dollars are project-based dollars. Oftentimes, those projects have to be sustained when you're done. Trillium dollars don't come annually.
No.
Right? So, yes, we had Trillium dollars, but you cannot... What we did with them was to support people properly to come into the program. So now, with Trillium dollars, we have more people in our program, but no Trillium dollars, right? That's how it works. NOHFC, amazing program. If you're not, you guys probably are familiar with that.
Yeah.
So the internship program, People in Talent, amazing. Yeah. The Ministry of Northern Development and Mines, who knew, coming out to support us. It is an amazing program. But again, those internships are 1 year. And they also have to be new positions every year. Yeah. Right? So here we are now creating more infrastructure that we can't maintain when these people are gone. I love the internship program. It has been a literal godsend to the program. But I also have concerns when we're bringing people into the lives of these individuals knowing that they're all going to leave. Yeah. Because that's a common trigger for them. Yeah. That level of isolation or loneliness, or wondering why people are leaving. Yeah. And why maybe they weren't good enough for them to stay. And that wasn't it at all.
No,
we have to explain that all the time.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
that's a heartbreaking conversation.
100% it is. We try to make sure that everybody's aware from the beginning, but it is very heartbreaking. It's very heartbreaking. But I mean, the ministry today had confirmed that Paddle's operational and contractual practices don't align with the ministry's community participation services and support requirements. Yeah.
What? Okay.
Yes.
I have two questions. It's what and it's why. What do they mean by that? And why can they
that's what we're saying now, because what they've said is that we need to follow the policy. As if for some reason we're not following the rules, I guess. I'm not sure.
Yeah, what's the policy? I think policy.
Well,
I'll get it later.
It's a whole thing. And it's stuff that we're still learning, and it's stuff that these adults and their caregivers are still learning about these policies that have such a tremendous effect on their lives. Right? I do have concerns that we have very large tables of very powerful people making very big decisions about people's lives who are referring to policies and canceling programs. I would like to know how those policies are actually working for them. Yeah. Not well. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
I think we can see that. And again, it's not this government's fault. Every single government has failed and has targeted this group over and over and over. Yeah.
And that's disappointing. It's saddening. And whenever I levy an opportunity to, I just gave it away. Whenever I levy a critique at the provincial government, it's essentially a veiled opportunity. Is that, there's a chance for you to do something more here. There's a chance that you can kind of, if you want to be people of the people, this is something you can do. No matter, how underrepresented or under, vocalized they've been or, supported, that doesn't mean that can't change now and you can help them. And so, yeah, I'd be keen to see who wants to pick up the slack, because it should come to the government. Which one's going to do it?
And here's the thing. Respond to what they're asking for. Yeah. And if you do that, it turns out people get what they need. If you believe them and you give them what they need, they turn out okay, as it turns out.
Who would have thought, right?
Who would have thought?
What a crazy concept.
I know. It is just such a thing,
Yeah. So, Meg, before I get you out of here, is there anything that you want to detail to our listeners and viewers before we get out of here?
I think just obviously a general thank you to our board of directors who wrote that letter, who got this ball rolling. It does take a lot of confidence to be able to take on a fight like this. I also think it's important to speak to the adults that come to paddle. For 18 years, adults have come to paddle voluntarily. This is not a program where people are forced or dropped. You know what I mean? It's voluntary.
Yeah.
We had a substitute teacher in last week who said, "How do you know nobody's going to run away?" This is a substitute teacher from high school, and I said, "Well, they choose to be here.
They want to be here.
They want to be here. It's cool, right?" So there is that. I give them the credit for showing up every day. I give them the credit for the things that they have to deal with on a daily basis, the fights that they have to have, the supports that they don't have, the judgment of them and their caregivers is beyond.
Megan, thank you for joining us.
Oh gosh, thank you.
No, please. We just do what we can, but it was a great conversation. I'm really, really happy we got you in. There's a lot of important things here. Go ahead and go find the letter. Go talk to your local MPP, Vic Fideli. Vic, come on the show. You're always on the show.
I have to say, one really has been a big support to us. We can't say any different.
Right.
But again, there's only so much people can do and how many things we can fight for, and that's what we're here for.
And simultaneously, if he's listened before, he'll listen again. Exactly. It's his job. Let's get him to listen some more, right? So, to all his colleagues, hopefully they're listening. Hopefully the community is listening. Megan, it's been a pleasure. We'll see you out there.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for listening or watching the Echo Essentials podcast. My name, as always, is Chris Pekarsky. If you have any comments, feel free to share them with us. Drop a comment in the comment section, rate us, like us if you can. If you have a chance, check out our website as well. Subscribe to the Echo Essential newsletter. It's where you can get all information about every community activity happening that is of relevant note. You can also check out new episodes regarding North Bay Echo and all the things we have going on here. Thanks so much for listening.